Hey everyone, welcome back. So we are back here talking about the real estate roundup, and we're going to dive into the topic today regarding alternative options for first-time home buyers. Um, we know that people are constantly hearing all these crazy things about home prices going up and mortgage interest rates are going up, and so your buying power is down, and blah blah blah. But let's talk about how you actually get a house. Um, it's definitely the biggest thing that most people want to do in life. They want to achieve the American dream, and the pinnacle of that has always been to own your own home. But let's also talk about how we're going to be getting there. So, there are a few different options that Nick and I have come together and talked about that we've seen either used or have used ourselves so that we were able to purchase a home or see others do so, even if they didn't think that they could at that exact moment. And so we're going to jump right into those now. The first option being family. So, Nick, I think that you'd probably be the best person to talk with on this one because we've talked before about your investing and your purchase of investing properties, and getting some help from your parents in order to kind of do a little bit more than you could have just on your own.
Yep.
So I'll let you jump right into that, and yeah, let us tell us about using the family option
Right.
for first time homebuyers.
Sure. So a little context for myself. I bought my own condo in 2009. And then in 2014, I posed the idea to, like you said, my mom and stepdad of would they be interested in going on 50-50 in summer? Because like you said, I wasn't going to be able to get into a second place on my own at that time. Um, and we had talked about real estate before as something that could be a possibility. So I think for anybody thinking about it, you have to jump into it, right? And not tiptoe around and say, well, I wonder. Just pose the question because one of two things are going to happen. Either it's going to be a yes or it's going to be a no. Or maybe there's a third alternative, which is let me think about it. So nonetheless, I think too many people fill in blanks based on what they think will be said, or unfortunately are just too scared to ever cross that line. So as Jalen alluded to, I bought a townhome with my parents. What did that allow us to do? Well, number one, it was in 2014. It was a foreclosure. So there again is another option that it's not flooding the market like it did in between '08 and 2012 and even into 13, 14, depending on what market you're in. So foreclosures are an option, and it allowed us to go in 50-50 and to gut it. Right. Again, it made it more affordable. So they dealt with the down payment piece and I dealt with the remodeling piece. And now you're saying I'm improving our property and they helped get over that big hump that is a challenge for a lot of first time home buyers, right? Being the down payment and closing costs. But nonetheless, it created a conversation to say, okay, if you take care of X, I can take care of X. Um, and I think that's an interesting one because I think what can be interchanged synonymously with family is friends. I think either
Yep.
of those two options, though, it it goes back to how well do you trust someone, right? Because I don't think family is always an option, but nonetheless, I definitely think it can be an option. And
Yeah.
I think for more people, it can help more people than they might want to believe. I think some people are maybe stubborn, to put it one way, which is understandable to say, no, I want to afford this by myself, which fair play. But again, with the appreciation being what it is, sometimes it just takes some people out. And now you're short 200,000 of like, I'm not getting just a two bed, one bath for that much money, and I really want that 3 bedroom place or 4 bedroom place. Again, maybe that's the avenue to go down. But again, it takes a conversation to know whether or not that can happen.
Yeah, and it's definitely a conversation worth having, to your point, at least asking, even if it is a hey, let's talk about this later or let me think on it, that's still not a no. So, and also these are people that presumably you're asking. Hopefully it's not the person, you're if you stole someone's car or something. You're not like, hey, I know you have pretty good things.
Yep.
I would know I took it. Um, that's probably not the best person in the family to ask, but when it does come to just asking, these are presumably people that do care about you, want to see the best for you. And most of the time, they do want to help you in some way, shape, or form. So
Hmm.
just asking isn't going to insult anyone. And in fact, it's going to make most people feel good that, you feel like you are comfortable enough to ask them for um, helping in this part of life. So I think it's definitely worth the ask if you're out there and you're kind of on the fence with it. Friends, though, that's a great one if you like your friends, which hopefully you do. Um, have you seen anything like that work, Nick, with friends? I've seen primarily family.
Hmm.
Friends, you can both get approved for a mortgage together on my end, but then it comes down to I never recommend people buying property with someone that they don't have a deeper relationship with. So even if it's a girlfriend boyfriend
Hmm.
that have been dating for 7 years, it's like, well, tie the knot. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Just one of y'all need to pony up and just get it done. All right. Because buying a house, there's definitely legal repercussions and protections that go along with being having those deeper connections than if it was like a friend or a girlfriend or uh, someone along those lines. So, what's your opinion on that one, Nick? And then lead us into the out of state and city limits one, because you're the
Right.
one that had a recent experience with that.
Yeah. So to touch on the friends one, I think if we're talking strictly about first time home buyers going down this path, my recommendation would be have things buttoned up and spelled out from a legality standpoint. So there's not assumptions. I think that's the challenge sometimes family members and friends um, struggle with is saying we're going to have this signed off from a legal standpoint, not because I don't trust you, but because things do like things happen right out of our control sometimes, and that's when it becomes really awkward because Jalen's my nephew and we went in on something and he promised me, but we don't have anything in writing and signed off on, and then it becomes
Yeah,
even more awkward. So there again, if we're dealing with something like real estate, it only, in my opinion, makes sense to say, let's do everything by the book, cross all our T's, dot all our I's, again, for legality purposes. So there's no assumptions being made of saying, but Jalen, you told me 4 years ago you were good for it. And now things have changed. It's like, use it just like you would if you weren't family, in my opinion.
yeah,
The benefit is if it is family or a close friend, you have that trust factor that you're building off of. So I think that's where a lot go haywire, unfortunately, is because they don't have anything to hold anyone accountable. And someone dips out because family or life changes happen in the future that they didn't foresee at the time that they made those decisions. And when you don't have anything to hold someone accountable, it does make it that much harder on everybody involved. So, with that being
yeah.
said, I also know of some friends right now. I mean, they've been friends for over 20 years. So they're not first time home buyers, but they get along
Mm,
very well because, again, that time that they put in together. And, they're just big investors. One deals with all making all the deals. The other one comes on the back end and fixes
mm,
the places up or helps fund
nice.
those pieces. So I think that's an example though of two individuals that have been there in the space for a long time. In relationships, they got introduced to each other and now they're just like, damn, I wish I knew you sooner type of thing. Um, but
Found a new best friend.
right, right.
Now making money.
Yeah, yeah. But I think for all of us, I don't think friends is out of the question by any means because we wanted to do more things with those we know, like, and trust. Right.
Yeah, and
So,
duplexes and
uh-huh.
triplexes, those are always the ones where you don't even have to see them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's something that you can definitely be thinking about if
Yep.
that's a route that you're wanting to go down. Yeah, duplexes, triplexes, 4 units. I mean, you guys can rent the other 2 units if
Right.
you 2 are in the other 2. I don't recommend that if you have a family.
Yeah.
As married men, I don't know about Bree, but I know Monica would not go for that.
No. No.
If I was to pitch her, hey, let's buy a triplex.
Yeah.
We'll rent out the other 2. It'll be like living in an apartment, but we own the apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's not going to go over well.
No.
Um,
No.
but So let's talk about the last option that we wanted to cover today.
Yeah.
There's a million and one options. We're just covering the three that we're most familiar with and have seen the most, uh, out of state or out of city limits.
Hmm.
Um, just on a personal thing. So Monica and I are rewatching Breaking Bad, or we just finished rewatching Breaking Bad. We've watched El Camino. We're going through Better Call Saul. Um, New Mexico looks gorgeous. I don't know if it's the filters they use or what, but New Mexico is slowly calling our names. And it goes to, though, with the big discussion around housing prices going up and mortgage rates going up so you can afford less. Looking out of state, your current state, or out of the city limits of where you currently reside, where house prices are 9 times out of 10 higher for a single family home in particular, and moving out of state, um, that is definitely something that I've always thought wouldn't be an option. But after seeing New Mexico and Breaking Bad, I gotta admit, we're not going there for the blue meth, but we'll basically, the northern New Mexico looks like southern Colorado.
Yeah.
So if one's way less expensive than the other, but what are your experiences with that, and some clients that you've talked to recently that are kind of exploring that as first time homebuyers?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I met one individual, gosh, within the last month that him and his wife are renting in Pasadena, and Pasadena being the extravagant prices that it is right now for single families, they said they just wanted to get in the game of real estate and own something. So they came up with an idea of where is it they like to visit every so often. And they they pinpointed that area of California, which is close to Big Bear, Lake Arrowhead.
Mm.
So Southern Californians, you can relate to that destination very well, I know. But they said we're going to buy out of city limits, somewhere close enough that we can visit, and let's make it an Airbnb in the meantime that we're not there. And I think that's an interesting play for first time home buyers, because again, it does get your foot in the door, right? You're buying a um, lesser amount of property in comparison, but what does that get you somewhere else, right? What is less money get you in another state or out of city limits, of course. Um, and then I think one detail that definitely needs to be buttoned up is who maintains that, right? Is that going to be a property that you can drive to keep your eyes on it, or do you hire a property management company to oversee it? So those are logistical scenarios that you need to think through, um, but nonetheless, very feasible ones, very realistic ones. There again, it goes back to asking questions, leaning on professionals to say, "I haven't done this before. What would you recommend, based on what we're doing or what we're thinking about doing?"
Yeah.
And then the out of
Yeah.
state. So know of another one that said we like to go to Idaho and we want to visit there. So we're going to buy there, do the property management, um, roll Airbnb through it, and then we'll vacation when we want a vacation, and that'll be that. So nonetheless, being a part of real estate, and part of that game to have the appreciation. Thoughts
Yeah.
there, Jay?
Yeah. It's definitely something that, especially as more and more cities and more even of the little big towns in most states are getting filled up, because all that beautiful virtual work from home thing allows people to live in Arkansas but still get paid like they're living in California.
Yeah.
It makes monetary sense, just to make that move. And so just be aware of all your options
Yep.
is all we're really wanting to say. Just because you can't buy in the exact city that you want, is a 30-minute drive tacked on to your morning commute now going to find you something more in your price range that you're going to be happy with going to every day. Um, those are the types of things that you want to be aware of. Or, have you thought about moving to another state? I hear Oklahoma only gets hit by a tornado once every few days. So I take my chances there. That's not too bad. You can get dirt cheap homes. But yeah, so just be aware of all your options. Don't put yourself into a box. We're almost at a theme here. Don't put yourself into a box. We talked about don't putting your kids into a box. Don't put yourself into a box if you're buying a home. That's all I really have. Nick, anything else to add before we move on to take a break and move on to the final segment of the show?
No, I think you summarized that well. So with that being
Perfect.
said, Yeah, let's take a little break and then we'll finish things off with business bookend.